Hello YouTube, back again with another video. This time I'm doing another update to my purple blue Kaido deck profile. As you can tell, there are some new changes that I made to the list, as well as different ratios. Again, it's not meant to be the high tier 1 deck, because the decks aren't going to be best forever. It's to try something innovative and to actually have fun playing with this decks, as well as giving you a chance to actually be able to contend with one of the more competitive decks. And this way, not only will it be impressive, it'll be a lot more interesting to play. So it's always good to try out some innovative decks, be more versatile, and come up with solutions that you might come across that actually might end up helping you after the duel. So let's get straight to the deck. So obviously, moving forward, obviously you're gonna max out on for Who's Who. He's our only one down card, and obviously you gotta max out this. He's your extender, which is the only card that helps you search out your Animal Kingdom pirate cards, and can actually come in clutch really well. So obviously we're gonna max out our 2K counter Sasaki to help you refresh your hand if you don't like the cards that you're holding. It can help you revitalize your hand and make sure that you have better hands to draw into, like 2K counters, or for possibly some hitters or some blockers. Another 2K counter I'm maxing on is Khalifa. Me personally, I think 4 is right for this deck, because it's a card that enables you to draw a card if whenever you minus a Don when attacking. So it doesn't. Obviously the Dawn can be tapped or whatever, so you can actually make use of its effect. And sometimes if you don't like your hand, you can always have one just in case on field to make the most out of its effect. For Boa Hancock, some people might argue it's not worth playing this card, but I disagree sometimes, because it's another option for you, easy blocker to some, and it allows you to draw one. Even though, yes, you gotta attach it with one Dawn, I say it's way worth it. Even though they might eliminate Boa Hancock before she gets to block, but it can come in handy if you're trying to be able to draw into like an important card when attacking or blocking. So it's not only on block. So you're just banking on a key card when playing it, whether it be a 2K counter during your opponent's turn, or if it's a big strong character during your turn. And we're playing a different page one, so we're not playing the blue since they have no counter, but we're playing this page one, which happens to be a purple 4 with 5k power. Don't worry, I'm still playing the vanilla beat stick, but I play this as another option because it has a really interesting effect which is simply that this deck is lacking. If you minus a Dawn, it can be able to attack active characters. So of course it's not going to be able to work on summon, but you're most likely going to be able to you mostly going to have ways to summon it out a lot more with a lot more characters on board. And by now you guys should be aware of what I'm talking about, because I'm going to explain the card after. So obviously we're playing the blue ulti. If you have a multicolor leader, you get to look at top 3, add one to your hand, and you can put them on top or bottom of your deck in any order you choose. So just enable more consistency, as well as like it can help you get into dig deeper into certain cards. So in order to get into our page ones, we're playing the 4 ulti. You guys should already be aware. It also has a 2k counter. You minus it on play, and you get to play one page one that costs 4 or less. Just 2 extra, which happens to be a 2k counter. Simply because I feel like you're not going to be able to use his on-field effect that often. And I feel like now, like it's good. It's a good clutch card, but I feel like I feel like 2 is enough, because you want to have more options with this deck. And you want to have more, since we're not playing too many low costs. You want to be able to make up for the high costs. So it can come in handy late game, but early game not so much. In case you want to ensure that it's to ensure that unless you want to make sure that they don't have enough 2k counters, enough counters to like block a certain character that could be able to finish them off on the last attack. So Not much to hear. I already mentioned the 2-page ones, which is a beat stick vanilla. I think 2 is appropriate. Speaking of tours, I managed to get a hold of 2 purple queens, and as much like I'm still practicing. I'm still playtesting the card, but I think 2 is a good ratio since it's a high cost. Because with 5 cost blockers, you have to wait on your third turn in order in order to actually be able to block attack. So it may be a little too late, but at the same time, it's like you want to at least save, since you have ways of getting out queen. You want to be able to see one hand in order to help you minus it on and draw 2 cards and discard 1 card. Because if you play it in the wrong moment, then you won't be able to make use of its effect because you already wasted a bunch of your Dawn as well as got rid of your Dawn. So the whole purpose behind that is to make sure that you have enough Dawn in order to wait and savor that Dawn for like your bigger characters, as you can tell. So because which we're about to go into. So two kings, the purple kings, just 2 is enough because I feel like they might, because once the game gets fast, I feel like now they're gonna have more than just like characters that cost 4. They're gonna have like the more deep and big finisher characters. So it's always good to see just one in case. So because I feel like it's not always gonna play out the way you want if you decide to play through or max out on it. But another king I'm suggesting is just as a tech card. I'm just gonna be playing the blue king, which happens to be a 7 cost on 8k power. So the reason why I'm playing this it's a nice tech. It's to help push for more attacks on my opponent and then be able to draw as well as like before, since we might not be able to reach 9 Dawn on the possibly the 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 four like the 4th or 5th turn. You might have to, you're most likely, like I said, you're probably not going to reach your 9 cost or your 10 cost like character on your 3rd or 4th turn. Your 4th turn, since if you can't play them, you might as well play the extra king just in case to help you draw and have another beat stick, so that you can actually be um, able to mount more attacks with more heavy characters. So, because again, the 9 costs and the 10 costs do come in clutch, but you want to be able, since you may not be able to see them on your 3rd or 4th turn, you might as well wait a bit and summon some other bigger creatures just to be able to set up a bigger plan for you so that you can be able to mount stronger attacks later. Speaking of stronger attacks, we're obviously going to play the 3/9 cost Purple Kaido, which has Rush. Again, you minus 5 Dawn, and in return you get to destroy a character that costs 6 or less that your opponent controls, and during the turn it does, it gains Rush, which will always come in handy in my opinion, except if they're playing cards that can't be KO'd by effects. But this will come in clutch if they only have 1 blocker, if they have less cards in hand to counter with. So I love to savor this card late game when necessary, especially if not only do they have enough cards in hand, especially if they only have 1 blocker, as well as only 1 life or no life. And going to our 10 cost, obviously we're going to end off with our other purple 10 Kaido, which allows you to nuke all characters on the field except itself. But for what it's worth, you want to be able to mount your attacks first before you use the effect, is to be able to catch your opponent by surprise. They were wondering why you haven't used any of your Dawn, because you're saving it for this guy. And speaking of Dawn you want to save up on, we're going to be able to go into our 3 blue 10 cost Kaido from OPO5. Some people might argue it's not that useful, but again, being able to draw 4 helps you enough, and be able to see more of your options, and be able to see most of the cards, possibly every card in your deck, who knows, almost. But if they have 3 or less life, you draw 4 cards on play, and you want to make sure if you are playing, you have enough 2k counters as well as 0 event counters from your hand that can either block 3 or more damage. And speaking of 0 event cards, we're playing 2 Gum Gum Green. Originally this is going to be 4 Gum Gum Jet Gatling, but I couldn't be able to find 2 other copies of Jet Gatling, but again can be useful. Its main counter effect, the same thing as Jet Gatling, but if it's triggered, you can return 1 character on the field that costs 2 or less. So just in case, if they have a low cost blocker, you could be able to save it for that. It might come in handy. You might be able to save it for that to make sure that they don't have too many blockers to be able to defend their leader. So it's not a bad option, but it'd be weird to play Gum Gum Green if you have Jet Gatling. And the reason why we're going to be going to our double Gum Gum Jet Gatlings because again, has the same counter effect, but the trigger is if it's triggered, you have the option to set 1 Dawn from your Dawn deck as active. So it helps make use of purple since they're basically the type of color that manipulates their Dawn in order to gain additional effects, in order to be able to make the most out of your Dawn, as well as like be able to like enable like overwhelming effects. And that's the whole purpose behind purple, even though it may seem like a bad color, but sometimes it can be able to allow you to get those powerful effects off for what it's worth, even if you have to sacrifice a Dawn. But that's just my theory behind the purple color strategy, but by all means, may not be great, but I feel like depending when more support comes, it will be able to prove what else it's capable of, and that the deck shouldn't be underestimated. So card that shouldn't be underestimated, you got a max on 4 Onigashima. When you activate on main, obviously not need to repeat myself, if you control Animal Kingdom Pirate leader card, you get to set Onigashima rested, and if you do, you can play 1 Dawn rested from your Dawn deck. And again, this is the deck profile, you guys. Hopefully you guys understand, and I wasn't too confusing with this build, but hopefully you get a good gist of how the deck works and the combination and strategy behind it. But for sure, more is to come. I gotta do more playtesting to figure out the deck. So if you didn't hear what I said, gotta try out the combination and strategies deck. Just playtest a bit, give it a chance, and you may be able to see some further results. But again, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Be sure to check for more upcoming content later in the future. Be sure to check your notifications, comment, like, subscribe. Thank you.